And we're just here at Flavour Breads today interviewing Tracy Livingston from Democrats for Social Credit, standing as a candidate in the Bay of Plenty region. So Tracy, we've got some questions to ask you.
Fire away.
Yep. Okay, cool. Question 1. What do you consider are the key social issues that people face, and how do you propose these be solved?
Democrats for Social Credit have policies that were in place actually in 1935 in New Zealand, and that is how New Zealand got out of the Great Depression faster than any other country in the world, was using these social credit principles. And it was basically free money, if you like. I know that sounds dreadful, but money that was created by the Monetary Authority of New Zealand, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, to cover 10,000 houses for the New Zealand Housing Corporation, is that right? Yep. And creating vital infrastructure for New Zealand. And what happened was that actually started New Zealand on its way into an incredibly robust economic situation. And that held true for decades. Unfortunately, those policies were actually undermined and we lost them. But we actually still have the monetary authority in New Zealand. The Reserve Bank of New Zealand still has that monetary authority, whereby we don't have to borrow money from overseas banks to fund our government. We can actually do that on our own bat. So our government pays $12 million a day in interest to foreign banks, which that doesn't need to happen. We can create that money ourselves. And when we have that money to use ourselves, then we can fund our own social programs, our own, infrastructure, roading, hospitals. We've got this insane situation where we're paying all this money out when we could actually that could be money that we could use ourselves for the things that we need.
Yeah, cool, thank you. Question 2, preserving our natural... Sorry, did you want to add some more to that?
There's a ton of stuff to add to that.
Yes.
And, but the big issue is that we have the rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer, and we'll talk about that. We'll say, oh, it's not fair, but we can change that in a heartbeat. That could be changed tomorrow through legislation we already have. We don't have to have this inequality. Social credits say every New Zealander should get a basic living wage, not even have to work for it. But actually, the Swiss already do this.
Yeah.
They pay each Swiss person, a living wage. And you don't have to scrabble for every buck, and you don't have to destroy the environment to make money, because you'll see time and time again what we're doing is using the environment to make money, because we're so desperate for cash that we'll do anything, including rip up our native forestry. We'll do anything to make a buck.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that way. We don't actually have to destroy our environment to make a living.
Cool, thank
Sorry.
you. It's fine. Question 2 then leads on from that quite well. Preserving our natural heritage versus utilising our environment to raise the standard of living. How can these two things be balanced so that future generations live in a clean, green New Zealand?
I think that's perfectly valid, because and back to the social credit principles are, in fact, the social credit was the original Green Party. They were all the organic people from Soil and Health became the social credit political league, which was 60 years ago, so whenever that was. So they've had the same principles for the last 60 years of maintaining, not selling off New Zealand and our environmental well-being for a quick buck. So we can have as much money as we need to do what we need to do without destroying our environment.
Cool, thanks. Question 3, what is your vision for New Zealand?
Oh, well, that's a big question. I would love to see us create our own money supply through the Reserve Bank. Then we'll have as much money as we need to do to provide those services that we were talking about. I'd love to see... I've got so many clever ideas. The simplest idea I've had is a curriculum for third and fourth form, which is now year 10, 9 year 10, is to do with health. You know, emotional health, financial health, physical health. You know, my daughter's just in year 13, so she's coming to the end of that. But I was just really horrified. The simplest things. We don't have a curriculum to set children up for their life. We're teaching them history and geography, and you know, social studies these days is just reading the newspaper. You know, that's not doesn't build any. It doesn't do anything for these kids. They're already watching television. It doesn't make any difference. You know, why not really get down to brass tacks and teach people about relationships? Because they're going to have children. They're going to have relationships. It's a given. Why not a curriculum that is designed actually to create, you know, a healthy situation for them when they're older? That's just a simple thing. But actually that would make a huge difference, because people are going out into relationships and then they end up hurting each other physically, emotionally, financially.
Yeah.
That's one thing. That's my own personal thing. That's not that's not social credit. But you know, we have policies for health that do include, for example, not mass medication. You know, we're looking at fluoride, for example, as a mass medication that causes untold damage. You know, we don't have it here in Tauranga Bay of Plenty. But, you know, there are lots of cities in New Zealand that do. And, you know, it increases things like cancer rate. Doesn't change the teeth situation on little children at all. We've looked at all the research to do with that. You know, it costs councils, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and it's putting lead, arsenic, cadmium, chromium, all these other things into the water that's so toxic. You know, so simple stuff like that. You know, we can do it. You know, my vision would be to do away with the poisons in our environment. Even, you know, certain sprays that do untold damage. You know, we're very green, if you like. Although sometimes that's cool and sometimes that's not cool anymore, isn't it? That's changed. So. Yeah, I think it's very important for us to look after our environment, because it's the only thing that's going to be left in 100 years or 200 years will be gone, but our environment needs to be kept clean.
So what values around family and community are important to you?
Family values. I think we need to stop beating up our children. You know, I know this was a contentious issue a few years ago with, you know, the anti-smacking law. But I feel that as a society, we should really stop. Okay, another issue dear to my heart. 25% of New Zealand women have been sexually abused. You know, you think, well, that's an eighth of the population that goes into our community freaking out. You know, the fear and the shame and then what that brings to their every relationship that they come in touch with. I just think this is an issue that really has not been resolved in New Zealand. And the child abuse is another one. And I just don't think that we should be afraid of each other. You know, really love the idea that you can be in a safe relationship. And when you're in a safe relationship in your home, then every relationship is improved.
Yes.
You know, in the outside world. And then we can be a much more cohesive community.
Thank you. And we've got one fun question to end with.
Thanks, Rosalie.
So we're going to ask you to name as many items as you can in a particular category in 10 seconds. So, you ready for this?
Okay.
The question is, how many native birds of New Zealand can you name in 10 seconds, starting now?
Okay. Paradise duck.
Whoa.
Wood pigeon, hawk, robin.
Okay, we've done 10. But let's keep going. How many more can you come up with? Coming up, 5 seconds. Go.
Kingfisher. I can name them all in Māori actually, but now I'm on the
In Maori, let's do it in Maori. Is that what you just said?
Keru,
okay, 10 seconds, go.
Oh no.
Thanks for such a great sport in doing this, and I think you got 4 in 10 seconds because you spent 5 seconds laughing, which is lovely. So thank you very much,
Thanks,
Tracy.
Rosalie. Thanks for the opportunity.
You're welcome.